Calm down, it's been a while. A lot's been going on, with quite a few things, I wanted to talk about. But my time has been pushed recently. And even the next week, I'm away on holiday. Yay! So I thought it'd be important to upload something for you good people. We've had plenty of chatter, around the recent Smash Bros. DLC drop with the Fire Emblem characters. Sony not being at E3 again, which I've said my piece on before on this channel. And, my opinion hasn't changed because, it's just been a year. But what has grabbed my attention the most? The whole rumour about Horizon Zero Dawn coming to PC, according to Kotaku. Now I don't normally talk about rumours and speculation on this channel, and this isn't a discussion on the possibility of Horizon coming to PC, even though it was technically the catalyst, I suppose, for this discussion. It certainly wasn't the precursor to my thoughts on this matter as a whole. You see, I feel gamers of my age are somewhat of a dying breed. The industry is changing so much and so fast that people are, I suppose, willing to forget the old and just embrace the new. Whether they consider that to be good or bad, or whether it is just generally good or bad. As for me, I've been involved in gaming long enough to have built up my own personal story and history. And when it comes to gaming, I remember a lot, and the reason why I remember a lot is because I lived through it all, and not once in my life have I ever taken a time out from gaming. I've always been there, through every major console generation, and until the Xbox One, and I've owned every major platform. And this is where, the Horizon PC situation comes in, believe it or not. For me, it started, I suppose, at the devastating yet pivotal moment in gaming for me, when Sega left the hardware market. But also around the same time, one of my other favourite developers, jumped ship, and that company was Rareware. Now, I've had my Nintendo zealous moments in the past, for sure. I'm not embarrassed to say it. During the GameCube era, when I was working in games retail, I once called my visiting area manager, a clueless idiot, because he wanted to remove the GameCube and its software from the shelves, as he considered it a waste of space and money. After somehow saving my job. That was the final moment of my overzealous fanboyness, I suppose, towards any company. And don't get me wrong, I still rate Nintendo as the greatest developer on the planet, hands down. But there's always, a line, between sanity and madness, right? But even before this time, I was already getting used to my favorite companies' games appearing either on PC. At the time, at the same time, these games appearing on PC at the same time as the console versions, or even later appearing on other platforms. The perfect example I have here is Panzer Dragoon on the Sega Saturn, as well as the PC. These are my two original versions that I bought. Back then, the Saturn version came out in 1995, but I bought that in 96 or 97. It's probably 97 I bought it, even though it came out in 96, I believe. And then the PC version came out in 1997. Maybe that's where I'm getting my confusion from. The Saturn was still on the market then, producing games. But here we had a Saturn exclusive being ported to PC. And do you know what my reaction was? Nice, I'll get it. That's why I've got the PC version on the Saturn. The PC also got other Saturn games like Sonic Art and Virtual Cop, as quick examples. The point was, we as gamers back then were already getting used to seeing console exclusive games coming to PC, and we didn't bat an eyelid for the most part. Later then, as I mentioned, the Dreamcast failed. Sega became a third-party developer. Rare left Nintendo and became a second-party developer for the newly arrived Xbox and Microsoft. I started seeing Sega games and Rare games, appearing on platforms I didn't even think would ever happen. And it was a weird time indeed. But after the initial shock, you just get over it. Was it for the better? I firmly put my finger down and say hell no. Because look at the output of those companies now. They're they're shadows of their former selves, and the impact of all that back then goes way further than many might realize in the industry. I'm someone who I've always been someone who just follows the games. You have the games, then you have the games then in that period, which is why I got so much history and legacy with so many platforms. I just love gaming, but of course through all of this, I completely understand why exclusive games are necessary for any console platform. And it's not just console platforms, it's for any platform. We look at Netflix and all that stuff right now, how they're getting their exclusive shows, and it gets people to buy into those platforms. Exclusives are important. Without exclusives to your platform, you are exactly just that, a platform. And your unique identity must be created from something else if you're going to stand out. And as modern consoles have essentially become PCs, their uniqueness and the traits that get them to stand out from the crowd no longer only belongs to the software. It no longer belongs to the software, but this is how. But I feel that, it belongs to how the software is delivered, and it's mostly through the services which each platform holder offers now. This is why owning an Xbox 360 and PS3 began to feel pointless to me, and also now owning a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One, even though for this reason I don't own an Xbox One, feels somewhat pointless from a software perspective, as each machine is virtually identical, save for the few key exclusives that they are currently holding on to. So this is why you see Microsoft doubling down on the services they offer, and Sony still trying to convince you that PlayStation Plus is the place to be. At the same time, people stopped caring about exclusives these platforms used to have. When I talk about consoles feeling unique, this is not what only the games done, but also what the hardware done. Consoles back then. And when I say back then, I'm going back to like the N64 or Dreamcast or whatever. Consoles back then from every hardware developer were completely different due to the technology at the time. And this affected the look of the software that came out on these platforms. This in turn, along with these console owners, creating, I say console owners, the console manufacturers, creating wave after wave of their own unique software for these systems, is what made games like Final Fantasy VII and Silent Hill and Gran Turismo, and all these games, just examples, feel like PlayStation games. They were built around the hardware, which enforced the games to look how they did and feel how they played. And, no one, for the most part, complained. Even when Final Fantasy VII came to the PC a year later, but what mattered was that those games were made exclusive for the PlayStation, with the PlayStation in mind, and ultimately became known as PlayStation 1 games. Same as Panzer Dragoon. We roll into the next generation, and we start to see all these IPs, and more leaving the PlayStation as exclusives, venturing onto other platforms. And once again, I didn't bat an eyelid. It's Grand Theft Auto 3 on the Xbox. Fine. Who cares? Metal Gear Solid, 2 on the Xbox. Who cares? Metal Gear Solid 1 remake on the GameCube. Bring it on. Silent Hill 2 on the Xbox. Why not? And as we know, all these things happened. But if you would have said to me back then, Metroid Prime on the PS2, I would have been whoa now. Hell no. That's a Nintendo game, right there. And of course, that was once again the height of my overzealous fanboy, stance. And do you want to know why? I didn't, I didn't want to lose Nintendo. Just like I lost Sega. Because Sega, without their unique hardware, became the third party that we know today. Instantly when I played games like Jet Set Radio, Future, and and all these games that came to the Xbox, from Sega, luckily I felt like some of those were meant to be Dreamcast games, so they had still that magic in there. But you started to see things slowly go down. Shinobi and Alter Beast and all this stuff. You started seeing it, go down. So it's also Rare without Nintendo. Became the Rare that we know today. I didn't want to see the only true video game console manufacturer and developer left in the industry pushed out by the newcomers Sony and Microsoft. And I swore. I remember back then, if you knew some of my friends, you could ask them this, as backup. And I swore on that day that if Nintendo left the industry, then I would be done, with gaming. And that was mostly because I felt like the essence of gaming was being taken over by big corporations. These weren't game companies; these were corporations coming in and taking what was, created before. What would I be bothered? Would I today be bothered if Nintendo put some of their games on other platforms? Yes. Without lying. I was listening to Terminator Juice, and he wouldn't be bothered. That's actually fine. This is coming from me. I would say yes, and a part of me, would still would. Mostly in fear of what would happen. But at the same time, we've already seen Nintendo venture onto mobile, and who knows what the future may hold. But one of the other strong reasons is because Nintendo are still the only company who builds games around the unique nature of their base hardware. And what would happen if that was taken away, or games were designed with the hardware of other consoles in mind first and foremost? Would the Switch exist then? With the Joy-Cons, with games like ARMS, Super Mario Odyssey, all games that were first and foremost built with the Joy-Cons and their motion controls in thought. And what about Breath of the Wild? All these things without their unique features. In fact, we saw what happened to Breath of the Wild when many of its unique Wii U features were taken away. Games, they still exist, but there was potential magic, taken away. As for exclusives, I ask myself, when I think of consoles, of old, what are the first games that come to mind? If I said the N64, where would your mind go if I said the N64? What are the first games that come into your mind? My mind flies, straight to Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, GoldenEye, Jet Force Gemini. What about the PlayStation 1? Mine jumps to Metal Gear Solid, Xenogears, Ridge Racer Type 4. What about the Dreamcast? Shenmue, Jet Set Radio, Soul Calibur. What about the Wii U? God, Mario 3D World, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Pikmin 3. The Saturn, for me, Panzer Dragoon Saga, first game that comes to my head. Burning Rangers, Sega Valley Championship, all these examples build up what these consoles were to me, beyond the hardware, into the realms of the games. But back then, having unique hardware features were also the exclusives, and made these things even better. As for the IPs, which I talked about in which would be in the title of this video. As for the IPs, nearly every single IP I've played outside of the house of Nintendo has appeared on a multitude of consoles. Those once Sony exclusive IPs that made the PlayStation brand what it is now. They're virtually everywhere. When you think of games like Tomb Raider, Metal Gear Solid, like the Silent Hills, like I said, all these games that you once classed as PlayStation games, they're gone. What game, made me buy the PlayStation 4? That's still Sony exclusive. There's one game that got announced and shown for the PlayStation 4 that I was like, I gotta have it. That game was Bloodborne. Bloodborne made me buy a PlayStation 4. Bloodborne is one of my top 10 games of this decade. It's a Sony exclusive. Not a third-party game, but a Sony exclusive. So for me, exclusives still matter. That exclusive got me to buy that console. In fact, today between Sony and Microsoft, they matter even more, as those two companies, consoles are nearly identical in what they offer the consumer. As for Nintendo, if they went down the same old routes that Sony and Microsoft have done with their consoles, then over time, I'd probably become numb, and I wouldn't care if Mario, like Sonic, appeared on other platforms. But until that day comes, I still continue to pray to Crom, that Nintendo keeps innovating, not just in software, but also in the hardware, and offer me true exclusive that these two things work together and give me a unique platform on top of, like I said, Nintendo being, in my opinion, the greatest software developer, out there. So next time, when the PlayStation 5 comes out now, and the new Xbox comes out, I'm kind of already not interested. Until I see the games, those consoles I just know are going to be pretty much identical. They'll be backwards compatible. They'll be super powerful. The controllers will be virtually the same. They're just platforms. They'll give me some free games if I sign up to their service. There's just, this is what they offer now. So I need more. And that more comes with not just the general third-party games, which are everywhere. Your platform doesn't make those third-party games that unique, for the most part. Not anymore. So I need those exclusives. And those exclusive games, the ones that are good, that look great, will get me to buy your hardware. And then if those exclusives come to PC a bit later on or whatever, I'm already used to it. It happens. I'm not going to moan about it. If they came out day and date, then I would have a choice to decide what platform I would get it on. But if you don't give me a choice, if you make those exclusives, for those consoles to say, this is what we're offering for the PlayStation right now. Yeah, it ain't going anywhere for a long time. Come and get me. And it's good. I can't wait. I'll get it. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Sorry, a bit of a long video here. Like I said, I'm on holiday next week. So yeah, sorry, a bit of a delay now. Again, another week without a video, but I promise to be back next weekend. Let me know your thoughts, people, on this. It's a deep subject with lots of avenues, but let me know your thoughts. And as always, thanks for listening. Take care all, and peace.